Hello. For all our wine lovers
and book lovers,
this is Wine Sisters Book Club.
Welcome.
Woohoo. We're back.
Do I sound so sultry right now?
You do. You sound amazing.
Yeah. I know this is technically our first episode, but this is not what my voice normally sounds like, though I do think it probably sounds kind of mysterious like the book.
Yeah.
It did it on purpose.
Everyone wants to know, who is she? What does she look like?
You'll never know.
Is that Aly?
You'll never know. I'm just a mystery woman with this raspy, low voice.
She might be the murderer.
The woman, Jacob Sluter.
Jacob Sluter. I knew it was a girl the whole time.
Yeah, you missed my name in the book. Well, we're so excited to do our first long-awaited, it feels like forever, episode, God of the Woods for Wine Sisters Book Club. And Nikki's staring into the depths of my eyes.
Like, where am I supposed to look?
I don't know. She's looking into my soul. Like, it's a little bit much. But it feels like we've been talking about this, honestly, trying to do this episode for a long time. So,
yeah,
God willing, this is the one.
God of the Woods, this is the one.
God of the Woods, let this be the one.
I like trying to start a podcast in January is honestly not for the faint of heart. Like, it is so crazy. Like, the beginning of any year is crazy, but like this January has felt like exceptionally wild. Like,
well, and just like throw January out the window, trying to start a podcast in general and like figure all this out has been an adventure, and we're still figuring it out. So
not something you can do without wine. Like, you need wine.
Yeah, we did decide. We decided that, drinking healthily in moderation, of course, is the way that you're going to get the best show from us. So, and that's our goal. So, we're drinking for you. That's really what's happening here.
Yeah, it's not for us. It's really not for us.
Not at all.
So, tell me, how has life been? What's new? I haven't seen you in like a week.
I know, which is crazy. If you haven't listened to our intro episode, you guys should, because we tell a little bit more about like us and our relationship, which you would understand why Nikki not seeing me in a week feels weird. But yeah, so we see each other every day, probably more than one time a day. Yeah. So attached.
Yeah. We work together. Our kids have the same nanny. We love you, Maritza.
Yeah. We live in the same neighborhood. So yeah, we're pretty inseparable. But no, I mean, I think life has been so busy. I kind of had this moment this past week where I'm like, I'm like I'm at critical mass where I'm such a yes person. I say yes to doing everything. And I had this moment like, oh my God, it's time for me to scream uncle. I can't keep saying yes to everything. I'm like triple, quadruple booked. And so now I'm just trying to figure out, like after you already say yes, it's like, how do I back out of commitments without being like a total jerk? And so I'm trying to figure it out. I'm trying to get like slippery and like figure out how to get out of some things I've said yes to.
Yeah. And it's so funny because you said that saying scream uncle to me like a couple days ago.
I did. I don't even know this. Look at this. I'm like losing it, you guys.
I had to look it up what it meant because I was like, what does that mean?
Heard that term?
No. I was so confused. I was like, I'm assuming it means overwhelmed, but like, wouldn't a scream uncle? Like,
did it come up? What did the definition say? Am I using it?
Yeah, that's correct? What it said. That's what it said. But so my assumption was right. But I was just like so confused when you said it.
Like that's well known. I feel like it's well known.
Well, it's just like the other day we were in a work meeting and Aly said table stakes, and like 3 people on the call were like, "What?" And she's like, "That's like a term." And I was like, "Okay, that one I actually like." I've heard, and I actually, since you said it, have heard it in like podcasts and other things about business mostly.
Interesting.
Yeah. So table stakes and scream uncle or yell uncle. What was it?
Cry uncle?
Cry
I don't know. Yeah, anything to your uncle, I think, is the point.
Eric?
Yeah, is your uncle your safe person? Like, I don't really know how that came from. And actually, the table stakes one is funny because I had never known the origin of that either. It's like you pick up on these analogies. And then like all of a sudden, like we got asked a question at work together, what table stakes meant after I said it. And I just like, I pictured like a few steaks on top of a table.
That's exactly what I was like. No one's
But
eating
it's a
steak
poker
at
term. It's a poker term.
It is. Like no one's eating steak at dinner.
I know. I'm like, it's like, yeah, you have to. That's dinner these days. That's
You're
the table
in-
stakes.
You're in the United States of America. Put a steak on that
Put
table.
a steak on the table or get out. I have no idea. So, I'm the queen. We'll see what else I pull out today at the end of this.
I'm excited. Like it can only go up from here.
There you go. And then I'm just nursing my voice back to life, I guess.
Yeah.
Like that's really like what's happening with me and trying to, figure out how to get out of a few things I said yes to in a graceful way. So
Yeah. Give us an example. What are you saying no to?
Well, so last week I went and spoke at, it's called the Direct to Consumer Wine Symposium. And I went and spoke at that. By the way, woke up the morning of that speech. Like it's a presentation on a stage with this wonderful gal, Erica Ducey, who hosts the Business of Drinks podcast, actually. And I woke up with no voice that day, like literally no voice. And that was super stressful. We like mustered it out. Like we just like muscled through it and mustered it out. I don't know what I just said. That's another weird one.
Making them up as we
Dry
go.
mustard, ground mustard, Dijon. We don't know.
We mustered it out.
We mustarded it. Wow. How much wine have I had?
Maybe just
Not
one
enough.
glass.
Not enough. So anyways, so I have had that speaking thing last week. This coming week, I was supposed to speak at Unified, which is like another really big kind of like wine conference. And we have a ton of important meetings going on next week that I didn't know of when I had said yes to this. We have this thing called Wine Star Awards, like just for like our wine business jobs. Oh my God. Like these past few weeks feel like no time for air. And so I actually did just back out of speaking at Unified, which I feel not good about. But I think what I found a replacement for me, actually, our cousin Christine is going to do it. Thank God she's saving my life. But, it's just like you have those moments where you look at yourself in the mirror and you're like, I'm not going to be my best. It's not going to serve me well. It's not going to serve my family well. And it's not going to serve my job well. And my job is my priority over, talking things like this. So I hate backing out of things I said yes to, but I feel good that I recognized that I was just not setting myself up for success and needed to get out.
Yeah, but I mean, past Aly had no idea what future Aly was going to be up to. So I feel like you can't blame past Aly for saying yes. And you can't blame future Aly for knowing that, or current Aly, for knowing that future Aly.
Who is future Aly? She sounds cool.
Yeah. We'll know her next week. But yeah, you can't blame any of it. And like, I'm so glad that Christine's going. That'll be fun.
And she's so good. It's going to be perfect for her. And it doesn't have to be me. And that is great. So it's working out.
Yeah.
But I think it's like one thing. Like I probably need to say no to a couple other things, but I'm just figuring it out still. 1 foot at a time.
Yeah. As long as you don't say no to me.
Well, never. No, I would never, because you'd come hunt me down.
I know where you live.
Yeah, you have all the keys. She has all the keys.
Yeah.
So,
well, I mean,
yeah.
If you get rid of the keys, I can still get into your garage. So,
oh my God, Lord help us. There's no safety. Okay, so what's up with you? How was your trip? Nikki went on a week-long business trip. It was so lonely without me. I'm sure she was just so sad.
Actually, no, I will say that. So I went to New England. So I was in Massachusetts, Rhode Island, and New Hampshire for the week. That's like, we kind of as family members at Wenti have separated the continent.
The
continent. Yeah, kind of, because Dad does Canada.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
So we have
so serious when you say that.
Yeah, I know. Like North America, I'll say, as a continent. Like we go to different areas.
It's a geography lesson.
Geography. And they like to have the same family members back in the same regions because like then the distributors get to know you. Some of like the shop owners that are really important to our business get to know you. So I go to New England a lot. And so I went for the New Hampshire
it's like a food and wine festival.
No, it's
the
New
Easter
Hampshire.
Seals?
It used to be called Easter Seals, and now it's called Oh my God, why am I blanking? I was literally just saying this like so many times.
You're tired because
I
you've
know.
been traveling all over the continent.
Just New England. Yeah. I went to 3 states over the last week, but they're all driving distance. It's like, oh, it's an hour to Rhode Island from where I'm staying. Oh, it is an hour to New Hampshire.
That's always the craziest thing about the East Coast. Like living in California,
you can't get
driving
anywhere.
an hour
Yeah.
to like you hardly get out of the Bay Area in an hour.
Right.
I could hardly get to San Francisco.
Right.
So to like another state, it's always so wild to me.
Yeah. No, it was very cool to be able to drive like all these different places. But what I will say is at the New Hampshire wine tasting that I did, it's for the New Hampshire is a control state. So what that means is that they like the government controls the alcohol that comes into the state in a different way that they would in a non-control state. So
by the way, isn't that so crazy, you guys, that in some states the government is buying the alcohol? I don't know. It's just like the alcohol is the most wild legal thing. Every state has different laws.
Every state has different laws. So they do this tasting every year, and it is like a charity event. It used to fund Easter seals. Now it funds a food bank. So anyways, it's a great event. And people were coming up to our booth and tasting our wines and telling me, you know, in 2022, I had a Zoom with the state control board with you and your sister, and it was so fun. And next time you come back, like you should bring your sister. And it was like, so not only there in New Hampshire, but when I was in Rhode Island, someone else asked if you and I could do a presentation together. And then when I was in Massachusetts at the Roche Brothers, which is one of their big grocery chains, like a nice high-end grocery, they asked also if it could be me and you next time.
Oh my God, we're just a modern day Laverne and Shirley, Nikki.
We are.
Oh my goodness.
People love us. We are just amazing.
We're just so fun. So fun. You know what? Ask our husbands. They say the same thing.
They say the same thing.
Oh, well, that sounds like, though, that you were busy, but like kind of all over, not all over the continent, but a part of the continent.
Yeah, all over New England. It was fun. Like I enjoy it. It was so cold. It was like 15 degrees, which Fahrenheit.
Yes, which is cold for us Californians. But I think that's cold for everybody. I don't think anyone enjoys 15 degrees, so I think that's safe to say.
Yeah, but like 2 days before, I guess it was like -10.
Oh.
So I'm like, I kind of lucked out.
It's a spring day.
It's a spring day.
It's beautiful.
Everyone was very excited that it wasn't -10. So, you know, the whole thing was good. I had a lot of fun. I thought I was going to be able to come back from that wine tasting event with like all these stories of like tons of super drunk people, because the last couple times that I've done it, there have been some overserved.
That always happens at those things.
It really
people
does.
Stay till the end and they just want their cup refilled.
Right.
You're like, I don't think you need it.
Yeah.
Sir.
No,
but get some water.
Yeah. And this time though, no like crazy drunk people. Like they were all very well behaved. I was so impressed. I was like, wow, couple years and everyone's growing up. Yeah.
It's growing up.
That's nice. But I was telling a story of the first time I did that event, which was like 7 years ago now. A wife came up to the table and was like, my husband's about to come up. He's going to ask for more wine. Do not pour him any wine.
Stop.
And I was like, okay. Sure enough, her husband
can't put that burden on you.
I know. Her husband like stumbles up to the table and is like, excuse me, ma'am, I'll try the Cabernet. And I'm like, and his wife is like 5 feet
Staring
away.
you in the eyes,
Yes.
like, don't you dare.
Exactly. Staring daggers at me. And I'm just like, I'm so sorry. We are out of the Cabernet. And he's like, that's not it. And I'm like, no, that's actually a corked bottle. Like that one we can't serve.
That's clever.
Well, I was just like, how do you
what do you
survive
say?
in this? And then I was like, you know what? I actually need to use the restroom. And I just like booked
Right
it.
away.
I'm like, I'm out.
I can't believe that woman did that. I mean, like, I get it. She's like, Lord help me. He's not going to listen to me. I need someone to help me. But like, also, you should have been like, okay, I'll do it, but you better go buy a few bottles of our wine at the grocery store next time you're there.
Yeah, you better take, because you give like stickers out with like special pricing. I'm like, you better take one of all of my stickers.
Yeah.
And you go buy them right now.
Oh my gosh, that is hilarious. Well, good on you, Nikki. Look, you helped a sister out.
I helped the sister out, and I didn't get like in trouble.
Well, that's nice too.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I was expecting more of like that behavior, but none of that. Like I don't have any fun stories from this time besides everyone being well behaved.
What'd you read on the plane? I know you were a
Oh.
little bookworm.
Oh yeah. So I read Onyx Storm, which is the third in the Imperium series, which is like fourth wing for people who know fantasy books by Rebecca Yarros. I was so excited. Just came out. I read that a lot. I finished it by the time I got home.
That is wild.
Yeah. Not that I was reading a lot when I was there. I would read in the morning and at nighttime after like my day of sales just to get some sleep.
But you basically took like no reading breaks on the plane. You just like powered through.
Yeah. On the way there, I like powered through reading. On the way home, I worked a little bit and then I read a little bit. But yeah, it was a good book. I liked it.
I'm excited to read it. I'm still, it's like, I was saying this to Nikki. I'm on the fourth book of a series I'm reading. It's called Trial of the Sun Queen. And it is like another fantasy series. Nikki and I both love fantasy. Like we can't help ourselves. Romantasy. Like really. They're all the same. They all have the same freaking plot line. Like you know exactly what's going to happen. But like you don't know exactly what's going to happen. You just know you're going to like the aspects of the plot.
Right.
So I'm like really loving this series and would highly recommend this series to anybody who likes fantasy. But like by the time you get to the fourth book, I feel like I'm a 3-book series kind of gal. Like the fourth book, my engine starts to just get a little slower. I'm not like as hungry for the story because I've been trapped in this universe for so long and like reading this book forever, it feels like. Do you know what I mean?
Totally. I think when I'm reading that if it's a multi-book series, 3 books is about the most I can do for like 2 specific main characters.
Yeah.
So like a good example is A Court of Thorns and Roses. Like books 1 through 3 are really focused on Rhys and Tamlin and Feyre.
Yeah.
But then the next books are focused on new like main characters.
Yeah.
Like the other characters are still in the book, but because it gives you like a break from
the same storyline.
Right.
Yes.
So I'm like, they wrap the book up with those characters. If you have more to tell in that world, just like start new characters.
Yeah.
Another good example of like, I think a book that did it pretty well is the Throne of Glass series by Sarah J. Maas, because at first it was just like,
no, but then we had to read a book about Kale, and I can't.
Okay, no,
however you say his
the
name, but I say Kale.
Worst. I hate him. Yeah. No, yeah, but like she had like by the end, she had so many different storylines going. Like you weren't just reading about Selena or Aelin or whatever we want to call her.
Yeah, yeah. No, I know. I think that's very true. She does a really good job. I mean, she's the queen. I think Sarah J. Maas.
And we're all the sorry people.
We're the sorry people. So yeah, I think that I'm reading that book. I'm almost done. I'm at like 90%, so I'll finish it tonight. And then I think I'm going to start Onyx Storm too, because I just feel like I need to catch up.
Yeah, it will be one of our book club picks. We just want to give people time to read it first because it's like 700 pages.
Yeah, it's long.
It's so long. And we need to do an episode like to recap the first 2 books, just so that we don't like start on a third book. And
it feels weird.
Yeah,
it feels weird to start on a third book without any context. But it just also, if you like this genre, you're reading this book, I think is the Cliff Notes. So
even people who don't like the genre have started reading Fourth Wing. Like it's like a crazy it was like the
Fourth
craziest.
Wing is the book that got me into all of it.
Yeah.
Like really that lit my fire, and I was like, whoa, I am a fantasy girly. I didn't know it before, but I know it now for sure.
Right.
And I haven't been able to get off the train.
I feel like it's like Fourth Wing and A Court of Thorns and Roses. If you ask anyone who reads fantasy now, like Harry Potter, duh, but like everyone read Harry Potter. And like
but that's also different than this, I feel like.
Yeah, because it's not romantasy.
Yeah, it's not romantasy. It's just like pure fantasy.
Yeah, it's just like a kid's book.
Yeah. But is it like, I guess it is a kid's
People
book?
die.
Yeah, but I was like, is it though? Like it's not like super PG.
There's
I
kissing.
love it. Yeah, there's kissing.
Harry kissed Cho.
Oh my God, help us. Okay, so we are here to talk about God of the Woods. And I think I wrote down, because I will tell you guys, this book, we also did not start our little book club on an easy book.
No.
So it is complex, and it is not easy to give a synopsis of because there are so many different things happening at one time. So I wrote out a recap that will help give you a picture of the book. If you haven't read the book, you can listen to the recap. I'm not going to give away any spoilers in my recap. But after that, we're going to jump into discussion about the book, and there will 1000% be spoilers. So listen to it. If you think it sounds interesting, then you can read it. And if you've already read it, then don't hang up, I guess.
Don't hang up.
Don't hang up.
We're on the line.
We're on the line. And I am just going to need a sip of my wine. Okay, so God of the Woods by Liz Moore. So this one has basically all the makings of a summer camp story that kind of went wrong, but like you get all the vibes of being at summer camp and friends and log cabins. So the primary year is 1975, and Barbara Van Laar, who's 14 years old, I think, goes missing from Camp Emerson in the Adirondacks. But the kicker is that her family owns the camp, and her family is the Van Laars. And the really crazy part is that her brother Bear disappeared from the same camp or the same area 14 years earlier. So Barbara and Bear's family, basically Peter, their father, and then Alice, their mother, Van Laar, they own the camp, and they have like a vacation home in like right outside the camp that they invite people to, and it's like this big manor essentially. And so there's different kind of storylines running between the events that happen at the house and the events that happen at the camp, and stories between all the characters. So basically this camp has become somewhat of like a hot spot for the Albany elites, I think, to send their children to. And it is like a wilderness survival camp, which is like a little intense.
Yeah. I mean, elites know that they have to survive in the wilderness.
They have to survive in the wilderness. And like literally there's like a survival like part of the camp. So like they truly are like eating squirrels and like skinning them. Like I don't even know. Anyways, we're getting into the book. So basically the book kind of walks you through the search for Barbara, which unfolds. And in that, we're kind of introduced to a cast of characters who all seem to have kind of a stake in what's going on. There's her father, Peter Van Laar III, who is super wrapped up in himself, his like family legacy. There's her mother, who is basically a helpless walking shell of a woman for most of the book. Barbara's best friend, Tracy, who's really inspired and awed by Barbara, and Barbara's kind of like her bad influence in a way, but not all bad. And then there's camp staff like TJ, Luis, and Annabelle, who all have secrets and backgrounds of their own. So there's basically 1,000 characters in this book, and you're going to learn about how all of their stories connect and tie to Barbara or Bear or the Van Laar family in total. The book does jump between two timelines that are basically 14 years apart, and it's really all kind of trying to discover what really happened to Bear, the first brother that went missing, and then what happened to Barbara through the lens of all these different characters. They all, all their stories and backgrounds kind of like lead you to figure out what happened to these kids. It's super complicated to recap, like I said, so I think that is my best recap, but you would like this book if you don't mind jumping to between a million characters and multiple timelines, which I know Nikki has different perspectives on. But to me, I thought it was really good. And now I guess we'll kind of get to talking about it so that what, Nikki?
I have one thing that I forgot to tell you.
Oh. You wrote the book.
I wrote the book. I am the author.
She is Liz Moore.
No. So, but this is actually what I wanted to talk to you about.
What?
So when I was sleeping, when I was
Where are we going?
When I was in New England on my business trip and I was sleeping, I woke up in the middle of the night because I had a great idea for a novel, and I wrote it in my notes. And then I woke up the next morning and I read my notes. And the idea has legs. The one thing I will say, though, is that the only way it works is if it's multiple timeline.
And you hate that.
And I hate that. Like, I hate reading it. Like, I know that's my unpopular reading opinion, is that I don't like books with multiple timelines because I get attached to one timeline and I don't want to be in the other timeline.
Yeah.
And whenever I go back, I'm like, I'm back here. I don't want to read this section. Even if it's like integral to the book, I don't want to read it. And it's not like I always have a favorite POV when it's multi POV point of view.
It's kind of the same thing. Like you like a character's point of view better than the other.
Totally. But it's not the same feeling for me. Like it's almost like dread when I get to a timeline that I don't like. And it's like an internal thing that I can't turn off. But when I get to a character that I don't like reading their POV as much, I'm like, whatever. Like it's not my favorite part of the book, but it's whatever. Like it's not like something that I'm like dreading.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'll have to talk to you about my book idea because I am not a great writer. So it's almost like I need to like create the like outline of what I think this book should be and then like sell it like or like give it to someone who's a great writer and then if they sell it.
Yeah. You could do that.
Yeah.
Turn it into a podcast. Tell everybody the book.
So anyone who wants to be my writer, well then everyone's going to steal my idea. It's a really good idea. Like I have a very good idea. So I'll talk to you after the podcast. Don't let me forget.
Okay, this is major. It feels like this is a major business opportunity for Niki.
And while we have to just sit a little bit on my major business opportunity, it's time for our blind tasting.
Oh, yeah, it is time for our blind tasting. Niki's like, God help me, I have no wine in my glass.
So just to like give you guys a background on what we're doing here, we have decided, black bag in it. Aly and I, for every book that we read, we are both going to pick a wine that we think pairs well with this book. And so, thanks, Aly, for pouring.
I can figure out I'm pouring hers for me.
I know. Well, you can't do it by
it's
feel.
A little cheater. Yeah, I can.
Well, you can do a little bit by feel, which isn't fair that you got that opportunity. Now I'm going to pull hers up.
I'm getting it. I can't tell a difference.
Okay.
We're just basically trying to mess with each other.
Yeah, we're trying to mess with each other. So we will have a glass of wine that we both felt pairs well with this book. And and then at the end, after we talk about the book and have had a chance to kind of enjoy the wine, we will guess what wine it is.
Yeah.
And see if we get it right. And we will probably be wrong most of the time.
And that's okay.
And that is okay.
So we did just pour the wines that we can drink while we talk to you guys, which we said in the beginning that's where we're happiest. Mm-hmm. And so we're smelling ours. I feel like I know what mine is, but you know what? This has happened to me before. So I'm going to continue to stew on it until the end, but it is both of our wines are red, just as you're listening.
Yes.
And I'm pretty positive that they're different, but I could be
Oh no, they're
mistaken.
definitely different.
Okay.
I could tell just by the weight of the bottle.
Oh, so you did just pick up the bottle.
I picked up yours.
You did pick up the bottle. Yeah, I watched you do that. Yes.
Yeah.
I'm here.
I'm
here. My eyes are open.
Originally, like I'm supposed to pour my own bottle and Aly is supposed to pour her own bottle, but she poured mine.
Just trying to help.
And the bottles do weight different. So, and we both agreed that the first time we do this, both wines would be Wente.
Yes, we did. And so Wente is our family's company, Wente Vineyards. If you're not familiar with it, you should look it up. So we are doing Wente for our pairings. Okay, cool. So Niki, we've talked about your position on multiple timelines, so I don't think we have to go into that.
No.
But did you have a favorite point of view of the book?
Yeah, I did.
And who's your favorite character? I want to know both at the same time.
That's a good question.
Are they the same, I guess?
I don't know if they're the same. I liked Louise's point of view the best. Like I just thought that her point of view was the most fun to read.
Because her story was like so not what you were expecting.
Well, I think that like she's just like a hardworking person. Like, you know, like she puts her family first. Like she had like a lot of like strife in her life. It just like, I don't know.
You connected emotionally to her.
Yeah. Maybe. Like I just like wanted her to be okay.
Yeah.
And
and you didn't want like all the people with money to basically set her up, which is sort of what ended up happening.
Right. And just like, so everyone knows, the spoilers have begun. Yeah. So yeah, I didn't want her to get set up. I don't know. I just like liked her. I liked the way she was written.
Yeah.
The best.
She was complex.
Yeah. I think I like her and Tracy the best. Like Tracy, I also just like wanted Tracy to come out of her shell. I don't know. What was your favorite point of view and your favorite character?
I really like emotionally bonded with Tracy for some reason. And Tracy was essentially like Barbara's best friend that she met at camp. And Tracy is like comes from a well-to-do family, but sounds like she was just like super shy, probably really nerdy, just liked to be by herself and read her books, like hasn't had an easy time making friends. It doesn't sound like very unsure of herself. And I loved this story of kind of like watching her bloom through this friendship with Barbara, who was like this unexpected person in Tracy's life, who like made Tracy really like camp, who like made Tracy feel like she could talk to boys, like who just like, I don't know, like gave her wings. Because I don't know. I don't know that I was ever Tracy personally, but I, feel like I wasn't, like I feel like I remember needing that friend to like help me bloom out of my shell too.
Yeah.
Like we all like need that person in our life at one point or another.
100%.
To like help you build your own confidence.
Yeah. Like some people are born
confident. Yeah,
well,
I guess
some people are born like not confident. I don't think that anyone is born confident. I think confidence is built, but I think some people are just born like outgoing in a different way.
Yeah.
And so it almost like portrays confidence.
Yeah, no, you're right about that.
But then there's other people who like, because I think people probably often thought I was confident when I was young because I was so outgoing.
Yes.
Like I was like talkative and I would just walk up and like try and start a conversation or create friendships. But I wasn't confident at all. Like I was so insecure and I needed someone to tell me that I was doing a good job all the time. You know what I mean? So it's just like, there's outgoing and like introverted, and the introverts need confidence just the same as the outgoing people, but just like in a different way.
And I was the shy girl. Like I was so shy. I'm still kind of shy. Like if I walk into a room of people I don't know, like my skin is crawling. I'm so uncomfortable.
Yeah, no, that manifests in 100% awkwardness for you.
I am. I'm like so awkward. All my family makes fun of me so much because I like don't know how to ask simple things to people when I think it might like be putting them out, or that like they might, like I don't know.
There was like this really awkward situation where Aly was trying to ask someone to babysit her cat for her, and like it still like lives rent free in my brain. Like every time
I think this apartment of boys who lived in like the city apartment when I lived in San Francisco. They live like across the way, and I was like basically trying to trap them. Is what Nikki and Nate told me that I was doing. I really was like just wanted to make sure it was convenient for them, but I was kind of like, oh, are you gonna be home this weekend? Because if you are, you're going to be watching my cat. But I didn't mean to say it that way. I'm just like such an awkward, I'm an awkward person. Like there is no explaining it. So anyways, I like Tracy. Thanks, Nikki. Just like bring me and my life into this, but it is true. And so I really liked her. I agree. I like Luisa's storyline because it was interesting to see like how much depth she had there. I'll say like Luisa's storyline though, I was just like confused about like her relationship with John Paul, and then like John Paul was like such a like weird guy to me throughout this whole thing because you never got his point of view. He just like came up in like so many different people's storylines.
Yeah, but like you just knew he was a bad guy. Like, you know what I mean? Like you didn't even need his point of view. You're just like, he is effing with everyone. Yeah. Like he's messing with Luis, who has had a hard life and is just looking for stability. And he's
hooking up with her like co-mentor.
Yeah, like
leader.
the person she's mentoring. That's a camp counselor. Yeah. What is her name? Like Annabelle or something?
Annabelle. Yeah, which I don't like Annabelle.
Yeah, no, she's the worst. Yeah, no, John Paul, who was Luis's like supposed fiance, he was just the worst. So like you didn't need his point of view. I didn't want to hear what's in that rat man's brain.
Yeah, I didn't like that either. And then I guess I did like, here's the thing, I liked Judy's point of view, Juditez.
Jude. We're going to call her Jude. Hey
Jude. So I liked hers because kind of going back to our like, do you like one timeline versus another better? The whole time I knew that Barbara wasn't dead. I mean, like I had like weird, like I just did kind of like bite and sink into any like new person that they introduced. I was like, maybe John Paul did kill her, or like it was Lee in the kitchen who killed her. Like I just had these like weird, like, oh my God, it was right under my nose and I didn't see it. But like in my heart of hearts, I knew that Barbara had run away. Like I just was like, she's run away.
I mean, like she was so miserable at home.
Yeah, she didn't like her parents. She's clearly rebellious spirit. there's absolutely no way that like her brother goes missing and then she goes missing. And it's just like it's too, what am I trying to say? What's the,
Like it would have been too predictable. Like it was just like
yeah,
it's just
can't
too
happen.
coincidental.
Thank
like
you. Coincidental.
that's
That
not
was the word.
Yeah, it's not like
I'm not good with big words.
brothers and sisters don't just go missing 10 years apart or however many years apart.
Yeah. I will say that's what made, at one point I was like, maybe that is the grandpas are the ones who are doing it, and that's why all the kids are going away. Anyways, which makes absolutely no sense.
Yeah.
But back to Judy, is I liked Judy because she was really kind of picking up more of the pieces on the bear timeline and like the bear disappearance. And to me, that was the actual mystery. I know you felt like you kind of knew what happened to him too.
Yeah.
But like I really had no idea what happened to Bear.
And you thought everyone killed him.
I just was like I said, any new lead that was introduced, I was like, oh my God, it was them. Oh, like I just like believed it. And I did not truly know what happened to Bear until the very end when they told us. It was a mystery to me.
Yeah. For me,
She's smarter than me.
Well, so I thought that Barbara just ran away because just based on like her home life, like she hated her parents, the weird food thing, which we can touch on later. But like it was just like a bunch of like weird stuff. So I was like, Barbara is for sure just running out.
Yeah.
And then the bear of it all, like immediately when I like the catatonic mother
the bear
thing
of it all.
I was like, 100% it was her, because like if it was a mixture of Verity, which in Verity, spoiler alert, but another really popular book, so I'm sure most people have read it.
I feel like everyone's read Verity by now, and if you haven't, welcome to reading. Read Verity.
Maybe I'll just stop, but there's a piece of Verity that like brought it there, but like Verity mixed with the two Leo DiCaprio movies, Inception and Shutter Island, where like I'm gonna spoil those too. Mother. Yeah, well, the mother kills herself in Inception. Like she jumps out of a window and tries to convince Leo to go with her, and then in Shutter Island, the mom drowns the kids. And so like it was just like those movies plus Verity, I was like,
you just sniffed it out from the beginning.
Yeah, it was like as soon as I found out the mom was like catatonic and was like being so weird with Barbara, I was like, she 100% killed her son, and she's either like pretending she doesn't know or she truly doesn't know, because she's like catatonic.
Yeah.
So that part wasn't the mystery to me, and I think that's why I didn't like the book as much as a lot of other people do, because I was just like, I wasn't stumped.
Yeah.
And not in like it was still like a good book. Like I'm not saying it wasn't a good book. Like I would still recommend it to people. I just was like not stumped because I was like, this feels like something that's happened before.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's smart, and you've read a lot of books, and like you can put these pieces together, I think, faster than me. But I'm, happy for myself because I enjoyed the book, I think, more than you did. Honestly, because I was like, oh my God. It's like I got whiplash because I was just like turning my head to look at all these people being like, who did it? What happened to Bear? Like I honestly, sometimes I even forgot we were still looking for Barbara because I was so focused on like what the hell happened to Bear.
Well, and that's what I hate about dual timeline, because I'm like, you don't even want to do the Barbara timeline because you're like, Barbara ran away. Like, let me go back to Bear. He was actually murdered, or he's also run away and he's gone.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't care what happened to Barbara, but like the dual timelines didn't bother me. Also, though, because they started blending the timelines together. Like, during Barbara's time, they were figuring out what was happening to Bear. Like in the Judy point of view. I think that's like why I ended up liking her. So, anyways.
Yeah.
So, okay, so you knew who killed Bear.
Yeah.
Did you know Barbara ran away too?
I thought that she did.
Yeah.
I thought she did. I thought that the like, what is his name? Jacob Sluter of it all. Like, I thought that was too convenient. Like, it was sort of.
I thought you were going to say you thought Jacob Sluter did it at first. And I was like, what?
No. Okay. Like, the Jacob Sluter of it was like the too convenient part for me, where it's like, both kids were either murdered or both kids ran away. That's too convenient. Jacob Sluter was too convenient. Like, in my head, I was like, Barbara probably ran away, but I'm not positive.
Yeah.
I think the only person that like I ever even like gave like a grain of salt to for like potentially killing Barbara was John Paul because of the bloody clothes. But I was like, that feels like really weird and like planted
Yeah.
at that point. So,
Well, it's like, it is like, okay, I mean, I did buy into it for a minute only because I was like, this John Paul guy
is the bad news.
is bad news. He beats women. He's a cheater. And he's, as we found out through the book, it was actually going to like inherit the bank and like all of the Van Laar's assets basically as like the kind of like quote unquote adopted son after Bear passed away, or like I guess like after
if
Bear
Barbara
died.
wasn't there, he would get everything. So it was like
Right.
he wasn't a good guy and like he had motive.
Right. So we were like, oh, he doesn't want to, I was like, oh, he doesn't want to marry Barbara. He doesn't want to be stuck with it, but he wants all the Van Laar's money, the bank, like everything. So I was like, that feels like, yeah, like you said, motive. He's the only one with like true motive.
I mean, I want the Van Laar's money. I'm not going to kill someone for it.
Oh, I was like, oh my God, we are seeing a different side of her, folks. This is crazy. Okay, so who like could you just not stand?
I like really couldn't stand the mom.
Yeah, couldn't stand Alice. I was like, oh my God,
Like just like reading. Yeah, I know. I was literally like wanting to shake her most of the time.
Yeah. She just felt like so like a little baby, so naive, like starting from the beginning, like when her sister brought her out to like the Van Laar's estate and like how to get to know Peter. And she just was like so uninteresting, I think, and like so insecure.
Right.
So insecure of herself. And then to like, she kind of just like, they really skip over like any goodness in her, quite frankly. And like everything then is just like her drinking or like taking pills, trying to be happy. I mean, I feel bad for her, I guess, that she's stuck in this marriage with this horrible man, Peter, who is like so self-absorbed, such a jerk.
Right.
And like mean to her, I think, like didn't care for her.
Mean to like everyone.
Mean to everyone. Yeah.
Like mean to Barbara. I mean.
Right. But like, I think that there's just like, no, you know, like if you can like take control of your life, just like, you know, you have to like be up for the task. And she clearly wasn't. And I just couldn't stand it. And then when I found out what happened and like how she killed her son basically because she was inebriated and took him on a boat in the middle of a storm, I was like, what the heck are you doing? Like, I don't care how bad your day is. I don't care actually if you just found out that your sister is sleeping with your husband, which she did. Right. Also, hate her sister for that.
That part, like, I wasn't expecting.
No, that was a
surprising, shocking twist. I wasn't expecting that piece of the book to come out. Like, I pride myself on being able to guess what happens in books and stuff, but because
because you're so good at it.
Well, no, I am good at it. I like, it's even like with movies, with like thrillers in the movies, like I'll be like, oh, Nick, I know what's going to happen, and tell my husband exactly what's going to happen. And he's like, why do you do this? But I, like, it's like
Nancy Drew.
Yeah, it's one of my like secret hidden talents. But that one I didn't get. Like, I was not expecting her sister to be like the trigger. Like, and her sister was the trigger.
Her sister was the trigger that really caused her downfall.
Yes.
Then I didn't understand, like, they ended up like throwing Alice in an insane asylum. And so like essentially what happened is that Peter the grandpa, Peter the second, her husband's dad, pulled them out of the water basically, and like was too late to save Bear. But he's the one who like found that Bear had drowned and decided to cover it up.
Yeah, because they wanted to save their bank. Like, it wasn't for Alice, it wasn't for Bear, it was for themselves. Like, let's not make them the heroes of the story.
No, they're not a hero. It's like terrible. It's one, terrible to cover something like this up. Like, it just is. Like,
yeah,
I don't care. And then two, they're doing it for themselves. They're not doing it for anybody else. And then they make Alice feel like she is going literally insane because they like won't tell her what happened, and they make up a different storyline. She thinks she remembers something. They end up throwing her in an insane asylum. So anyways, when she was in the insane asylum, I didn't understand why she was like so pissed off to see her sister. So like they eventually tell you why. But I was like, there was like just some elements where I was like, what's happening?
Yeah.
Like the food.
Yeah. Yeah, like the food. The bar, and that one never had like, so
that was never cleared up. There was never so like cleared up. It was just weird.
Yeah, so there was like this whole piece of the book about Barbara and like how she loves food and like was not allowed to eat. So like her mom, like Barbara was like always trying to break into the pantry to steal the food.
Yeah, like,
and like
told the cook like stop letting Barbara eat.
Yeah, like it was just like bizarre, but it wasn't like it was like she was getting 3 square meals a day still. Like she's not like being starved to death, but like Barbara wanted more.
And then when Tracy's like, what's your favorite part about camp? And Barbara's like, the food.
Yeah,
it's
she's like, I can eat whenever I want.
I know, it's like, what's going on here?
Yeah, and then they just like never wrapped that up.
I know. It was like, so what was the point of all of that?
Right, like why put that in the book at all?
So weird.
So
I think
weird.
like maybe as I've like thought about that, it's like just another way to show like how controlling her parents were or something.
Just like
that they
so
like
weird.
want her to be super small and tiny or like whatever it is that they're then trying to control her food or intake or like, I don't know. Like it's just like another point of rebellion for her probably, but it was just it was just like weird.
What else did you think in the book like just like didn't fit? Was there anything else besides like the food thing for Barbara?
I mean, the food thing for Barbara was weird. No, I mean, I think the whole way in like which we found out what happened to Bear was a little weird at the end. Like Jacob Sluter gets like captured again, and I guess like he never talked in the beginning, and then at the end he like ends
Finally
up telling
talks.
everybody like who killed Bear and that he saw it all happen and like where he is and blah blah blah. And I'm like, that all just felt like too convenient almost. That it's like. I don't know. Like, you didn't get one of the co-accomplices in the murder to confess to what happened. No, some random serial killer that was in jail, that escaped jail, that you recaptured is the one who solves the crime, like, ultimately. And it's like, I don't. It feels weird.
Right. I agree. Like, but mostly because, like, they kept asking him years and years and years, like, tell us where the body is. Tell us where Bear's body is. And he's like, oh, I'm not going to tell that one, but I'll tell you all of my other kills.
Yeah.
You know, like that was like the one he was holding close to the chest. I'm like, that's weird. Why would he keep one?
Right. There was just like something weird about that. I mean, the whole Jacob Sluter thing was like a little weird, but they obviously had to introduce him because he had such a major role in the end. So
I know, the Jacob Sluter of it all. I was like, ugh. And then the Lee. I was like, why did we have to give Lee like a
bad reputation, like a tarnish?
Like, because he was like a totally good character until like I'm like, don't make him a suspect. You have enough suspects.
Yeah,
everyone is a suspect at this point. Don't make Lee a suspect. And
Lee,
Scary Mary, like what's the
Scary Mary was like such a weird thing. And by the way, I did actually really like that Carl guy who is Scary Mary's husband. He seemed like literally one of the best, nicest people ever, and it's really sad that
he was
Bear's
like
whole murder was blamed on him, and that his wife like loses her mind and goes through the woods trying to find Bear forever and becomes Scary Mary. I don't know. There's so many storylines in this book. Like we could spend 5 days straight talking about all the different storylines.
So what did you rate the book?
I gave it a 4 to a 4.5. Honestly, like
somewhere in there.
Yeah, if I could give like a 4.5, I would, because again, like I said, I had no idea what happened to Bear. I was relatively positive I knew what happened to Barbara, but like still not. I still like took all the leads they gave me. I thought the storylines were like really well done. All the people had like just such complex backgrounds, and the way they all connected with each other, and you didn't see it coming, from like TJ and Barbara to Luis and TJ and Luis and Annabelle, John Paul, you know, like everyone was connected, and I thought that was like really artfully done. It's not easy to kind of like tie all those things together. So anyways, I thought it was super entertaining. I'm not always a huge thriller person. Like they're not normally like my favorites, but I thought it was good. I really liked it. I would highly recommend it, actually.
All right. Well,
what did you rate?
I would say like a 3.5, mostly because I felt like I had already read the plot around Bear. Like
you knew what happened.
Yeah.
So it like didn't interest you as much.
And I feel like I'm like a really hard rater. Like I don't give a lot of 4s and 5s. Like a 4 is a book that I would likely read a second time if I like had the opportunity. And for me, a 5 up is like, I will read this again and again. This will be like a happy place for me.
Oh, I only will reread, I think, something I give a 5.
Yeah. So like I might reread a 4. Like it's not like a definitely reread, but like I would like if we were like, oh, we're gonna do another book club and it's a book I've already read, like I would probably reread a 4. But if it was a 3, I'd be like, hard no.
Yeah. I guess if I had like a purpose for that, I would reread it. But hopefully we don't ever pick any book that you gave a 3.
Oh yeah.
I mean, if we ever pick a book that you already read, but no. So, Nikki, what do you think the wine is that I put in your glass?
Okay, so
And you don't have to get super technical.
Yeah, no, I think that it is very vibrant. It has a lot of great fruit. It has a little bit of herbaceousness. And it's got a lot of really great acid. And so I think it's Southern Hills Cabernet.
Wrong.
Wrong?
It is Sandstone Merlot. Wente Vineyard Sandstone Merlot. And I picked it because to me, I was like, okay, Merlot is just like, it's always there. It's like in a cab. They make them on their own. They're so good. But you always think of cab. You never really think of Merlot. And for me, that was like how the book was. Like Alice was right there. She was like right under my nose the whole time. I never saw her. She was the like main character. And then like when it was her, I was like, oh my God, of course it was her. Which is like, of course this is a Merlot. You know?
Wait, that's so funny because I've been drinking this all week, this Merlot, and I did not even recognize it.
You know, it tastes different in different places.
It really does.
Okay. So should I tell you what I think mine is? Okay. So I get like a little bit of cocoa, a little bit of herby. I think it is Wetmore Cab.
It is not.
What? I was like so sure. What is it?
It is our
small lot?
Yes.
Cab Franc?
It is our small lot Meritage.
Oh.
And you know what's funny?
Does it come from that vineyard?
No, it doesn't. It is in this vintage. It's 2021 vintage, and this one is 56% Merlot.
Oh.
And
we're two
the
Merlot
rest
girlies.
is Cabernet. And so I thought it was like an interesting one because it's like, oh, when you're tasting this, like, do you taste the Merlot or do you taste the Cabernet? So it was like, who are you picking?
I really thought it was. I thought I was picking up like there's specific notes to the Wetmore Cab from the vineyard it comes from. And so I like really thought I was picking up those like immediately. And then I honestly, that was my immediate thought. I was so sure of myself that I really stopped I stopped thinking about what else it could have been.
Honestly, it was a good guess. It could be that the Cabernet came from there. I'm not actually positive exactly where this year, the 2021 Cabernet came from. I just poured myself a glass of the Meritage because I really wanted to know what she was tasting.
Mm-hmm. Well, this was super fun. I think we've just completed it. We've completed our first book review. And obviously, like I said, that is a complex book. We could have spent days reviewing it. But hopefully if you read the book, that was fun for you.
Yeah. And we are going to be posting the book that we choose for the next month on our Instagram. Yeah. So if you would like to read along with us, that's the book we're going to be reading in February. Our goal is to post all of our episodes Tuesday night, the last Tuesday of the month, the night, so that they will be ready for Wine Wednesday. So you guys can either listen to them in the morning on your way to work or when you're getting ready, or listen to them in the afternoon before you go home for work and then enjoy some wine. So that's our plan for the book episodes. We will be releasing Surprise and Delights.
Yes.
Like we talked about, maybe releasing a Surprise and Delight around Fourth Wing and Iron Flame, which are two of Rebecca Yaros's books. Yeah. Before we release our book, I don't know what month we're going to do Onyx Storm, but we're going to do Onyx Storm at some point.
We don't want to commit to it on the podcast in case we change our mind.
I know, on months specifically, but we will definitely be doing Onyx Storm eventually. It's just not going to be this month. It's not going to be next month. It'll probably be the month after.
Yeah, just to give everyone a minute. So.
Yeah, time to read.
Yeah.
So,
well, thanks for listening if you're still here. And Nikki, this was fun.
Yeah, this was fun. I'm glad that we both didn't get it because I would have felt so bad if I didn't get it and you got it.
I know. Well, no, it would have been funny. It would have been perfect. Who cares?
Because you're better at tasting wine than me.
I'm better at everything.
That's true. Yeah. That's true.
Cheers.
Well, cheers.